Good afternoon. It is me, James the counsellor. I'm back. I'm alive and kicking for now, which is the main thing, the point. And yeah, here I am again. It's been a few weeks again. As you can see, I'm in really starting to be in need of a bit of a bit of a tidy up on top and around the old chops. And excuse me, I've got a bit of a well, it looks dirty. It's not. It looks like a dirty t-shirt, but it's not. It's actually one that I sort of cleaning up and tidying up in, so to speak. Sort of, dust and things all over a nice clean one. So I'm having a bit of a tidy. Yes, so more fun and games. At the moment, as I speak, Cummings, if you know who that is, the sort of top advisor to Boris Johnson in number 10, is apparently on his way out before Christmas, well before Christmas, which, depending on your point of view, may be a good or a bad thing. Very odd story around that at the minute, not very clear about why that's going on or what sort of happened there. The catalyst was the resignation of Lee, somebody who was the senior communications advisor officer in the government, number 10 Downing Street. A man who apparently started off his career not too long ago, or too many years ago, in the newsprint media, I think, dressing up as a chicken and running around the streets of London, chasing famous people and politicians for some sort of stunt. I'm not sure what paper that was for, but Piers Morgan seems to know him, or know of him, from when he was obviously working in the papers. So yeah, an illustrious career there, chicken celebrity chaser to now ex-communications officer with Boris Johnson's government and number 10 Downing Street. And what a fantastic job he's done. I mean, why would you let such a valuable asset go? Look at all of the great things he's done for the government, for us, as a tip-top expert in his field, a real... you can see why he was an advisor and in charge of communications. I mean, look at all of the fantastic... if you think about all the fantastic briefings, number 10 briefings during the past, 8-9 months with coronavirus, and just cast your mind back to all of those and appearances on camera for Boris Johnson. The whole messaging over the free school meals vote and all of that. Marcus Rashford done a bang up job, hasn't he? So you can see why Johnson and that lot must be gutted to lose him. Top quality sort of advice like that. And of course he was busy mates with the old Durham driver, the old mole. Can I see where I'm going? I'll just go and drive from London to Durham and see if I can find out if I can see safely while I drive. Old Mr. Magoo Cummings. Busy mates, so that seems to have instigated his early departure. Is this a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Again, Dominic Cummings, everyone's known this for quite some time. These advisors that people like Tony Blair, David Cameron, Theresa May, all these Bloody Brown and all that stuff. These advisors, they don't just advise. They don't just sort of give advice on certain political sort of topics, or this topic or that topic, or free school meals, or should we have a lockdown, or all this sort of stuff. It's not just that. They're incredibly powerful people. In Dominic Cummings' case, everyone's known, even within the Conservative Party, that he had been concerned that he had far too much power from before coronavirus kicked in, that he had Boris Johnson's ear constantly. And of course, all of the mistakes that he's made, the fact that he wasn't told to go, made to go in April after his drive up to Durham during lockdown to test his eyesight. The fact he wasn't made to go by Boris Johnson, who is in effect literally his boss, advisor or not. I mean, it's Boris Johnson who employs him as an advisor, the senior advisor. I'm afraid stops with Boris Johnson. So you're going to see a lot of, I've seen it today on a lot of the sort of government-friendly press, radio stations, news channels, papers, using Cummings, as is going already, as a scapegoat for everything that's gone wrong, basically, with coronavirus. Today, apparently, has been the worst day, or the most, well, statistically, the worst day for the amount of people testing positive for coronavirus. I think it's something like 33,000 or something. The largest rise in a day. It's either yesterday or today, but it's reported today. Instead of that horrific figure, we've already had the horrible figure this week of the official figure now being 50,000+ deaths in the UK, which puts us way ahead in Europe. I believe puts us about, 5th in the world of the worst amount of, this is official deaths, so, it's going to be higher than that in reality. But attributed to COVID, 50,000+. So all of this should have been being discussed and talked about within government, within the press, but instead it's Dominic Cummings, who you could argue his advice, what he's been trying to do from the beginning. And this is the man, this is the man that famously said, I don't think it's apocryphal, when they were first being briefed down in number 10 about the deadly effects of COVID back in, I think this was January, February, so early on, and what it would do to people of an older age, people in care homes, people with underlying health conditions, said something like, when talking about the elderly people in care homes, let them die. Let them die, because you see, he is a eugenicist. He believes in entire swathes of the population that he deems to be useless. So, the elderly, the sick, the disabled, poor people, people who are slaves to their own wage that they have to work for. On the whole, he doesn't see you or me or any of those people as important enough to survive. We're just fodder for someone like Dominic Cummings, a eugenicist. So he's perfectly happy for us to be killed off. Herd immunity was again well known to be his bright idea. And many have suspected that the reason the government seemed to have been 2 to 4 weeks behind events, behind everything, not preempting things like lockdowns when they should be preempting what was needed for track and trace, a useful track and trace to the scale it needed to be, PPE, do you remember all that right at the beginning? For quite some time, months afterwards, the economic fallout, the job losses, the millions thrown onto universal credit. All of this was predictable. In fact, it's the job of certain government departments to predict all of this. So they knew about this, but it's people like Dominic Cummings in particular, who had the ear of the Prime Minister, but also had enormous power himself to sort of just set the agenda within government, who decided on herd immunity, which we now find out for sure, and had suspected at the beginning. The people that should know, the actual people with medical degrees, doctors, scientists, that herd immunity was just a theoretical experiment, and a dangerous one, because the people that suffer and die are the groups that I've just talked about. Dominic Cummings knew that, which is why he said that. Let them die. So he's off. Now, does that mean that whichever senior advisor, top advisor, is now appointed in his place, well, we've already got a new chief communications officer straight from BBC Newsnight. She's in there. That was part of the issue, I think, for the Mr. Lee, whatever his face was. His problem, he wasn't happy about that. So she's already in there. Will she be more competent? I don't know about giving us the information we need. It's the scapegoating. I don't think you can lay the fact that we haven't had the information we need, that a lot of the scientific data in particular has been purposely kept from us, from the media, from independent scientists, independent of the government, NHS, doctors, and nurses and things like that. There's been a conscious effort to hide a lot of that information. Again, which could be down to Dominic Cummings, we don't know. You can't lay the buck at the feet of just one or two people, senior as they were, because if you're going to say, oh well, they had so much power, they were in control of so much of what government did, government policy, government decisions, throughout the whole 8 months since March, April, at what is arguably the most dangerous crisis in, well, certainly since World War II, in I was going to say the Western Hemisphere, but all over the world, and here in our country where we live, of course, so it matters to us. Why? The question is, why were they given so much power? Where was the Prime Minister? Where was Boris Johnson during all of this? What was he doing this? Apparently. So I would really urge you to think for yourselves when you're going to be told over the next days, week, that all of the problems and issues in messaging and all of the problems and issues, and basically foul-ups, bad decision making, with the background of herd immunity as unofficial government policy, when it came to being 4 weeks late on a lockdown, second lockdown, that this was the fault of Dominic Cummings or Lee Chicken Man, to really think about that for yourselves before you take it into your minds as the truth, or the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because we have an elected Prime Minister who has daily meetings with an elected cabinet of senior ministers, top ministers. There's a lot of them. So the question is still, must always be, why was Cummings, and why was Mr. Lee Chicken given the power they were, unchecked, by all accounts. So here we are, anyway. Here we are in Wales, where I am, where I'm sitting now, North Wales. Our 2 and a bit week lockdown has come to an end. Didn't really affect me and my family, because I think we're now entering our 9th month I've lost count. It's Groundhog Day every single day. 9th month of self-isolation. Going to be in it until this vaccine, which is now being talked about and apparently on order. This vaccine is now got to the stage where it can be distributed among people like ourselves that need it with underlying health conditions, and then everybody else, of course. So that's probably going to be well into the beginning of next year, minimum. You know, even with the news of that, it's quite clear there's something going on there. Again, we're getting the sort of confused messaging. Well, we've ordered, the official sort of line is, we've ordered so many millions, you know, from the manufacturers. And then you're getting stories in other parts of the media about problems with the manufacturers actually producing the numbers that have been ordered from the off. Because of course every country in the world is going to be ordering them. The vaccine thing actually also again is something I'm not being sort of hearing about, or I haven't seen in the mainstream media. Is that they're talking a lot about this AstraZeneca vaccine, which is obviously been developed in conjunction with the laboratories at in Oxford universities. But they're not. That's not the only vaccine. There are other vaccines around the world. I think there's something like 9 or 10, or maybe a bit more, actually all been developed in sort of parallel, you know, around the world. So this is the sort of the I suppose the domestic effort mostly. But China has a vaccine by all accounts. Russia has their own vaccine by all accounts. Many other countries have different sort of vaccines at different stages. From what I believe, the Chinese and Russian ones are actually slightly more advanced stage than ours. So it looks like we're finally getting towards it. But the big question is, how effective is this vaccine? How long does the immunity that it gives the recipients last or not? We already know that COVID can be people who've had COVID can get it again, you know, which means that the antibodies in your body that fought off COVID the first time can over time become depleted enough so that you can contract it again, basically. So it may be that with these first generation of vaccines, you may have the first dose and then might have to have sort of booster doses, as you do with tetanus injections, you know, things like that. So interesting stuff, interesting times, lots going on as usual. Not much of it great, is it really? But that's the national picture. That's my sort of view on it, I suppose. I can't speak to much going on here in lovely sunny Rill. Not so sunny Rill because it's North Wales coast in the autumn. We've got the autumn wind and weather. It's been quite nice today actually. It's been quite sunny, but the sunshine's been out anyway. But it's changed. Always changes very quickly, the weather here, because as I say, we're right on the coast. So you've got the weather coming in from the North Sea. The Irish Sea, North Sea, the Irish Sea. It's usually quite cold and blustery. I must say, I don't watch it usually, but I did notice yesterday that for the new series of I'm a Celebrity, they're coming just down the road from where I am. I know the place very well. Gwyth Castle, just past Abergele, technically in Abergele, between Abergele and I've gone blank. Llandalas, which is really just a sort of shell of a sort of 19th century, early 19th century country house that's made to look like a castle, really, like a sort of fairy tale castle. But it was gutted by fire quite a few decades ago. So apparently they've been sort of rigging up sort of basic camping stuff within the main structure, or some of the bigger rooms. So I saw that yesterday on YouTube. So I believe maybe this week. I don't know when it's on, but maybe this weekend. So I might watch the first one, just to see. As I say, it's local, and I know the place very well. Just see the game. But I'm not. I'll tell you what. I would not. I would not want to be living any sort of time, and that's right on the coast. I mean, it's just, there's what, maybe, I don't know, 400-500 meters between. No, it'd be a bit more than that, but not much between the beach and the sea and the castle. There's certainly nothing in between that. There's the dual carriageway, and then it's the sea. So the wind is going to absolutely lash through that place. Any weather's going to come through, 'cause there's no roof, of course. So I do, for the first time in my life, I feel a little bit of sympathy for wealthy, pampered celebrities who are going to get paid a fortune, of course, but still, that's not going to be fun. So I might tune in just to see how much they do suffer from the weather. But no, I wouldn't want to do that. They'd have to pay me a lot of money if I was a well-known celebrity. And asked to go into there. No, no thanks. But anyway, there we are. It's 20 minutes just over. So take care. I'll see you next time. Maybe something more interesting to talk about. I don't know. And would be nice, wouldn't it? So anyway, ciao for now. Take care and stay safe.